All right, so are you ready to totally level up? Today we are taking a deep dive into this book that promises to change the way you think about achieving huge E goals.
Huge goals, yeah.
I'm talking the kind of growth that can, totally transform your life, your business.
Completely.
The book is 10x is Easier Than 2x by Dan Sullivan and Dr. Benjamin Hardy.
Great book.
And before you think this is just another one of those, self-help books about working yourself to the bone,
Right.
let me assure you it is anything but.
It really is. What's
Mhm.
really intriguing about this book is it kind of flips the script on traditional goal setting.
Okay.
It's not about incremental improvements.
Yeah.
It's about going for goals that seem just totally impossible at first.
And to help us unpack this radical approach to success, we've got an expert here,
Hi.
someone who's not only familiar with the concepts but has actually put them into practice, which I'm so excited about.
Yeah, yeah.
So let's jump right into it. Why aim for 10x growth when we could just focus on, I don't know, doubling our results?
Yeah.
What is the magic behind this 10x multiplier?
So it's about breaking free from linear thinking, you see.
Okay.
When you set a 10x goal, a goal that's just, it seems so out of reach,
Totally.
based on your current resources, based on your capabilities,
Yeah.
it forces you to think differently.
Yeah.
It compels you to operate outside your comfort zone
Okay.
and tap into this level of creativity and resourcefulness you didn't even know you had.
It's that story they tell in the book about Michelangelo sculpting Hercules?
Oh, yeah, when he was just 19 years old.
19 years old.
Think about that.
I mean,
Michelangelo, he wasn't born a master sculptor.
no.
But to create that masterpiece, he had to push himself so far beyond his skills at the time.
Yeah.
Studying human anatomy
Yeah.
in just crazy detail,
Wow.
taking risks, embracing a vision that was totally unprecedented for his time.
I love it. It really challenges that idea that we have to, gradually climb the ladder of success.
Yeah.
Maybe sometimes it's better to grab a jetpack and just blast off to the top.
Exactly. And the book actually argues that aiming for these seemingly impossible goals is actually more practical
Okay.
because it forces this laser focus.
Okay.
You're no longer wasting time on tasks that don't really contribute to your 10x objective.
Yeah.
You become very ruthless about prioritizing, really identifying the few actions that will have the greatest impact.
So you cut through all the noise, you hone in on what really matters.
Exactly.
But how do we even begin to figure out where to direct that laser focus?
That's where we come to a core principle of 10x thinking,
Okay.
separating the 20% from the rest.
Okay.
You've heard of the Pareto principle, the
Huh.
80-20 rule?
Yeah.
80% of your results come from 20% of your efforts.
Mm.
The key here is to identify your unique 20% and double down.
They use the example of Stream Logistics, a company that's specialized in construction transportation.
Yeah, yeah. The CEO, Carson, he realized that they had a lot of routine freight clients, but these weren't very profitable. That was their 80%. But they also had these high-stakes freight clients. They're 20%. And these clients had really complex needs and were willing to pay a premium for their expertise.
So they made a bold move, and I can imagine it was a tough decision, right?
Absolutely.
To stop catering to those routine freight clients
Yeah.
and go all in on high-stakes freight.
It was risky, for sure.
Yeah.
And initially, the team resisted.
Oh, really?
They were very comfortable with their 80%, even though it wasn't leading to significant growth.
Interesting.
But Carson, he had the vision to see that, okay, by focusing exclusively on their 20%, they could unlock huge growth.
So it worked.
It totally did. Not only were the high-stakes freight clients more profitable, there were also way more of them than they initially realized.
Wow.
Profitability just skyrocketed. They became the company, the go-to for those high-value clients. Perfect example of working smarter, not harder.
So it's not about doing less, it's about doing the right things, the things that leverage your strengths,
Exactly.
generate the biggest impact. It makes you wonder what's lurking in our own 20%.
Right. What's in yours?
I know. I love it. Okay, so another fascinating element of 10x thinking is this idea of embracing a wanting mindset.
Oh, yeah.
So help us unpack this. What exactly does it mean to want what you want?
It means refusing to let fear or, the opinions of others dictate your aspirations.
Right.
It's about being unapologetically ambitious, even if your desires seem, out there, unconventional to other people.
Don't be afraid to dream big,
Exactly.
to go after what sets your soul on fire.
Yes. The book highlights this with the Coinbase CEO, Brian Armstrong.
Okay.
He faced so much backlash when he doubled down on the mission, even when it meant losing employees who didn't agree.
Wow.
He stayed true to his vision, reminding us that success is not a popularity contest.
No, it's about defining success on your own terms, not letting that external validation dictate your path. And this ties in so nicely with the book's distinction between money and wealth.
Yes, money is simply a tool,
Mm-hmm.
a means to an end. Wealth is about the things you truly value, experiences, freedom, impact. It's the life you want to create.
It's about legacy.
Legacy, exactly.
So it's not about chasing dollars just for the sake of it.
Yeah.
It's figuring out what excites you, what kind of life you want to build. And then money is just a tool.
A tool, exactly.
Love it. Okay, so this next concept is particularly exciting to me.
Okay,
This idea that each of us has a unique ability.
I love this.
This resonates with me. This idea we all have our own superpowers just waiting to be unleashed.
Absolutely. Your unique ability is that thing you're just so good at. The thing that, like, energizes you, makes
Mhm.
time fly by.
Yeah.
10x growth involves not only identifying that ability, but, like, really maximizing it
Taking it to the max.
to the max.
I love it. Okay, so they use the example of the skateboarding legend, Paul Rodriguez.
Hmm.
P-Rod. Yeah. He knew his worth. He refused to sign this big, lucrative Nike deal because it didn't include his own signature shoe.
Yeah, he was the buyer in his career, not just the seller.
Wow. It's such a powerful example of owning your value, making sure you're in a situation where you can thrive.
Yeah, aligning your external world with your internal passions and talents.
So good. And it reminds me of the story about Peter Drucker, the management consultant, when he was asked to do an interview about creativity.
Oh, yeah?
He declined. He said, "I'm not focused on creativity. I'm focused on plotting, on the work the good Lord has fitted one to do and to do well."
Wow, that's powerful.
It's so good. It really speaks volumes about the power of focusing on what you're uniquely designed for.
Yeah.
We don't have to be everything to everyone. We
No.
can excel by focusing on our strengths, our passions.
I agree.
But in today's world, I think, a lot of us get caught in that 9 to 5 grind,
Yeah.
feeling like time is slipping away. So how does 10x thinking address this?
That's where the concept of shifting from Chronos time to Kairos time comes in.
Intrigued. What's the difference?
Okay, so Chronos time is like linear clock time, that
Mhm.
relentless ticking that dictates our days.
Yeah.
But Kairos time, it's about quality over quantity. It's about those moments of, like, deep flow, those breakthroughs
I love
where
that.
time stands still because you're just in it,
You're in the zone.
in the zone.
It's like reclaiming control of our time,
Yes.
moving beyond that feeling of always being on the clock.
Yes. The book introduces this thing called the entrepreneurial time system by Dan Sullivan.
Okay.
It's about structuring your time around these things: free days, focus days, and buffer days.
I love the idea of a system that incorporates downtime. It seems counterintuitive, but I can already see the appeal.
It is. It's about rhythm.
So tell me more about these different days.
Okay, free days are about stepping away, recharging, reflecting, engaging in those activities that nourish you.
We schedule time for doing nothing.
Exactly. Hitting that reset button.
So good. What about focus days?
Focus days are for deep work, for those tasks that require, sustained concentration effort.
Yeah.
This is where you can enter flow and really make progress on your most important projects.
I'm a big fan of time blocking. Scheduling these dedicated chunks of time, it helps me stay on track.
Yeah, the goal isn't to work longer, it's to work smarter.
To work smarter.
Right.
Okay, and then we have the buffer days to handle all those other tasks. What is the purpose of these days?
Buffer days, they're your opportunity to tackle tasks like planning, admin, catching up on emails, prepping for those focus days. The point is to prevent those tasks from encroaching on your creative time, ensuring that you're fully dedicated when it really matters.
It's about clear boundaries, a structured approach to your work week. I appreciate how intentional this system is. It changes how we think about time management.
It does. And this is all part of building that self-managing company where you're not putting out fires all the time. And the book uses Tim Schmidt, founder of the U.S. Concealed Carry Association, the USCCA.
Okay.
He's a great example.
Oh, yeah, I was hoping we'd get to Tim's story. It's so inspiring.
Yeah.
Tell me more.
Okay, so Tim launched USCCA from his kitchen table back in 2003. His initial vision was to create this print magazine,
Okay.
Concealed Carry magazine, focused on educating, sharing stories about gun ownership and self-defense.
So for many years, he was like a solopreneur, right?
That's right. In the early days, he really struggled to delegate. He didn't fully trust other people to handle tasks the right way, and you know what that resulted in.
Long hours.
Long hours. stress, and a real lack of the growth he knew was possible.
This is what the book refers to as like level one entrepreneurship,
Exactly.
where you're either doing everything yourself or micromanaging anyone you hire.
Exactly. But around 2007, Tim had this realization.
Okay.
He wanted to dedicate himself to the USCCA, but he also recognized, okay, for this company to thrive, he needed to evolve as a leader.
It's that classic principle, what got you here won't get you there.
Yes, exactly.
So what were some of those key changes he made to transition from solopreneur to leader?
I think one of the most significant changes was that, like, his mindset.
Okay.
He started to focus on building a world-class team,
Okay.
recognizing that his success was dependent on empowering others.
And it was around that time he had the idea to include that self-defense liability insurance as part of membership.
That was a game changer. It transformed USCCA from just like an educational organization to this comprehensive support system
Wow.
for responsible gun owners.
That's huge.
It was.
And he also developed this clear framework for USCCA, those core principles and values.
Yes. He had those three pillars: mental preparation, physical preparation, and legal preparation, all focused on empowering people to be responsible and confident gun owners.
It's that psychographic alignment, that
Yeah.
shared sense of belonging and purpose that the book talks about.
Yes, he really got it. He understood that people join organizations not just for the benefits, but also for the connection,
Totally.
for the feeling of being part of something bigger. He established these 7 principles, focused on cultivating that, like
Yeah.
a compelling ideology, clear membership criteria, and shared rituals.
Oh, yeah, I remember that from the book. He summed it up perfectly when he said, people don't join the USCCA because of all the benefits. Sure, the benefits are amazing, but they aren't the real and deeper reason people become members. The truth is, most people don't directly want all of the benefits we offer. They just want an easy button that provides those for them.
I love that quote. It's such a great insight into what people want.
It is. So how did he approach building this world-class team? What were some of his leadership principles?
The book really emphasizes transformational leadership.
Okay.
That's a leadership style that focuses on inspiring people
Right.
to achieve amazing outcomes.
Mm-hmm.
And some of the core elements of that are idealized influence, where leaders act as role models.
Mm-hmm.
They embody the values, the behaviors they want to see in their team. Inspirational motivation, articulating that clear and compelling vision. Then there's intellectual stimulation, encouraging creativity, innovation, challenging the status quo, and individualized consideration.
So, like, recognizing the unique talents of each team member.
Exactly.
It sounds like Tim embodies all of these. He went from micromanager to visionary leader.
He did. He invested in his personal growth. He expanded his vision and really developed those skills necessary to lead.
He learned to delegate, to trust his team. It's that shift from manager to leader.
Yeah, from telling people what to do to really empowering them to figure it out.
And the results speak for themselves. USCCA experienced crazy growth under his leadership.
Exponential growth. It's amazing.
It's a testament to that 10x thinking and committing to building a self-managing company. Showing that leadership isn't about control, it's about empowerment.
It is.
Creating an environment where individuals can really flourish.
Yeah, but the book also points out that there's a risk.
Oh, what's the risk?
You might develop individuals that are so talented, so skilled, that they become, attractive to other companies. You might not be able to match those offers.
I can see how that would be a concern.
Right. But the book argues that the bigger risk is not embracing the 10X philosophy at all.
Okay.
If you're not creating that environment of growth, challenge, excitement, purpose, you're not going to attract top talent in the first place.
If you're not growing, you're dying.
Exactly.
So true. Now, the book also emphasizes building a company culture that prioritizes principles over politics,
This is so important.
which I love.
Yeah.
Tell me more about what that means. Like, what's the distinction?
A principle, the book defines it as a fundamental truth or proposition that serves as the foundation for a system of belief or behavior. Politics, they define as the debate or conflict among individuals or parties having or hoping to achieve power.
Okay.
So it's about creating a workplace culture aligned around shared values,
Yeah.
common purpose.
Okay. Yeah. Not getting bogged down in the divisiveness of political discourse.
Right. As Tim Schmidt discovered with the USCCA, this can attract people from such diverse backgrounds.
Yeah.
People who don't agree on everything, but are united by that shared set of core principles.
As we wrap up this part of our deep dive, I want to encourage you listening to think about what it would look like to embrace this principles over politics approach.
Yeah.
What are those fundamental truths that guide your actions?
Yeah, and how can you create that environment that fosters unity, collaboration, even amidst different viewpoints?
That's a great point,
I love-
especially today.
I know. We need more leaders who create spaces where people feel safe to respectfully disagree,
Without judgment.
without fear.
Exactly.
So good. Now, before we move on to the final chapter, I want to shift gears for a moment.
Yeah.
Let's talk about identifying the wrong who's. We've talked about getting the right people on the bus, but what about those individuals who might be holding you back,
Yeah.
creating unnecessary chaos?
It all comes back to fitness function. What are you optimizing for?
What kind of culture do you want to create? If someone isn't aligned, it might be time to consider if they're really serving the team.
I imagine that's a difficult decision, especially if you have a long-standing relationship with someone.
It is. But it's not personal.
Yeah.
It's about making the best decision for everyone. Sometimes letting go can be the kindest thing.
For them and for the team.
Exactly.
And, the book highlights that we often lose money on those wrong who's,
Yeah.
whether it's wasted time, decreased productivity,
Right.
or the negative impact on team morale.
Exactly. Sometimes the cost of keeping someone is far greater than letting them go.
So how do we develop that discernment to identify the right who's and, filter out the wrong ones?
It's a process,
Mhm.
It involves making mistakes and learning. But the book gives some great advice, like never show up to a meeting alone.
Intriguing. Tell me more. What does that look like in practice?
Okay, it means having someone else handle all the initial contact, the scheduling, the logistics. They set the stage so you can arrive fully focused and ready to engage.
I love it, like having a personal air traffic controller.
Exactly. And remember, the longer you wait to delegate, the more time you're wasting on things that aren't your 20%.
You're investing in leverage, freeing yourself up to focus on your zone of genius.
Yes,
And this applies not only to business, right, but personal life as well.
absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Consider hiring help, if you can, for those everyday tasks. Cleaning, laundry, errands, childcare frees up so much mental space.
It took me a while to embrace that, but we hired a mother's helper a few hours a week.
Oh, nice.
Huge difference.
It makes a difference.
Okay, so we've talked about identifying those right who's,
Right.
creating a self-managing company where everyone's operating in their zone of genius,
Right.
establishing that culture that prioritizes principles over politics.
Yes.
I'm ready to dive into that final chapter and uncover those tactical strategies for identifying our 20% and taking action.
Let's do it. Welcome back.
Okay, so I am so fascinated by this idea of free days.
Yeah.
We touched on it a bit before, but I want to dive in. As our goals get bigger, the stakes higher.
For sure.
We actually need more of these recovery periods,
I do.
not fewer,
Yeah.
which seems kind of counterintuitive.
I know. It's
Yeah.
funny how that works.
So why is that?
Well, think about it. Making those big decisions,
Right.
navigating those complex challenges,
Yeah.
coming up with innovative solutions, it takes mental clarity.
Yeah.
You can't achieve that when you're always on overdrive.
It makes me think about that study they talked
Yeah.
about creative insights.
Aha. Moment.
Like those aha moments. It found that very few people reported having them at work.
Really?
Most of them happened at home or commuting,
Wow.
engaging in leisure activities.
When our minds are allowed to wander,
Yeah,
to make those unexpected
Yeah.
connections, that's when the magic happens.
the magic.
But we have to give ourselves permission to disconnect,
To recharge.
to recharge, to make space for those insights.
Okay.
The book mentions LeBron James, one of the greatest.
Oh, yeah.
And a key factor in his longevity is his commitment to taking care of himself.
Physical and mental well-being.
Yeah. His trainer, Mike Mancias, emphasizes that recovery is ongoing,
It is.
not just something you squeeze in.
Right, not just the weekend.
Exactly.
It's like they say rest is not idleness. It is the preparation for activity.
So true.
And this is especially important for entrepreneurs. Yeah.
Especially those striving for 10x growth.
As your business scales, the impact of decisions grows. The consequences of burnout are much greater.
For sure.
So free days are not a luxury. They're essential.
They are.
An investment.
An investment.
Yeah.
In your success and your well-being.
Okay, so now let's dive into how to structure a focus day. What are some key principles for maximizing those periods?
Minimize distractions.
Mm.
Create a clear plan and tap into flow.
Being fully present, in the zone. Easier said than done, I think.
It's
How do we minimize distractions?
turn off your notifications,
Oh, yeah.
emails, social media, all those pings and buzzes.
It's all designed to break your focus.
It is. If possible, create a dedicated workspace.
Hmm.
Minimize interruptions.
I am a huge fan of time blocking. Scheduling time for certain tasks, it really helps.
I do that too. And remember, the goal isn't to work more hours. It's to work smarter hours. It's about leverage,
Okay.
leveraging those peak periods of focus and energy.
Okay. And then, of course, we have the buffer days
Right.
to handle those less demanding tasks. What's the purpose?
The purpose of buffer days is to tackle things like planning, admin, emails, prepping for those upcoming focus days, prevent them from bleeding into your creative time.
It's about clear boundaries, a structured week.
It is.
I really appreciate how intentional this system is.
It is.
It really reframes everything.
Yeah, and this whole system, it's part of building that self-managing company, right?
Yeah.
You know, the book talks about Tim Schmidt again,
Yeah.
USCCA.
I was hoping we'd come back to him.
He's great.
So inspiring. Tell me more about his journey.
Okay, so remember, he launched USCCA from his kitchen table, 2003.
Yeah.
And his vision initially was that print magazine.
Yeah, the concealed carry magazines.
Right. You know, education, sharing stories about gun ownership, self-defense. And for years, he was a solopreneur,
Right. Doing it all himself.
doing it all. And he struggled to delegate.
Yeah.
He didn't trust others to do things his way.
Right.
And that led to those long hours, the stress, the lack of growth.
That level one entrepreneurship.
Yes, where you're doing everything yourself.
Or you're micromanaging everyone.
Right.
So around 2007, he had this aha moment.
He did. He wanted to dedicate himself to USCCA, but he knew that to really thrive, he had to evolve as a leader.
What got you here won't get you there.
Exactly.
So what changes did he make to go from solopreneur to leader?
His mindset changed. He started focusing on building a world-class team.
Okay.
He realized that his success was now about empowering others.
That's huge.
And that's when he had the idea for the self-defense liability insurance.
Right, as a core benefit.
Huge. It changed USCCA from just an educational thing to a comprehensive support system for responsible gun owners.
That is a game changer.
It was.
And then he also developed that clear framework, right? Articulating the core principles and values.
He did. The 3 pillars: mental, physical, and legal preparation. All about empowering responsible gun ownership.
It goes back to that psychographic alignment.
Yes.
Creating that sense of belonging.
He got it. He understood people join organizations not just for the benefits, but for the connection.
To be a part of something bigger.
Yes. He established those 7 principles, like the compelling ideology, the clear membership criteria, the rituals.
He said, people don't join the USCCA because of all the benefits. Sure, the benefits are amazing, but they aren't the real and deeper reason people become members. The truth is, most people don't directly want all of the benefits we offer. They just want an easy button that provides those for them.
It's so true. People just want that easy button. They want to know they're part of something.
I love that.
Me too.
So how did he build this amazing team? What were his leadership principles?
Transformational leadership. Focusing on inspiring people to achieve great things.
Okay, yeah, inspiring.
Things like idealized influence. Leaders are role models. Inspirational motivation, articulating that compelling vision, intellectual stimulation, encouraging creativity, and individualized consideration, recognizing those unique talents.
It sounds like Tim embodies all of that.
He really does. He went from micromanaging to being this visionary leader.
Yeah, from controlling to empowering.
He invested in his own growth. He expanded his vision, developed the skills necessary to lead,
He learned to let go, to delegate,
to trust his team, to make that shift from manager to leader.
not telling people what to do, but empowering them.
Right. And the results are incredible.
They are.
USCCA saw explosive growth.
It really shows the power of that 10x thinking.
It does.
Building that self-managing company, that leadership isn't about control, it's about empowering people.
But, you know, the book does point out a potential risk with that.
A risk.
What if you develop people who are so talented, they become attracted to other companies?
Oh, yeah.
You might not be able to match their offers, especially if you're focused on building a sustainable business.
I can see how that would be a concern.
But the book argues the bigger risk is not embracing the 10x philosophy.
Oh, okay.
If you're not creating that environment that fosters growth and challenges people, you're not going to attract the best people anyway.
Right. If you're not growing, you're dying.
Exactly. And the book talks about building a company culture that values principles over politics.
Yeah, I loved that part.
Me too.
It's so important.
So tell me, what's the distinction between the two?
Okay, well, the book says a principle is a fundamental truth that serves as the foundation for a system of belief or behavior.
Okay, and politics.
Politics is the debate or conflict among people who want power.
So it's about creating a workplace that's aligned around shared values,
Yeah.
not getting stuck in political stuff.
Exactly. Like Tim Schmidt discovered, this approach attracts people from all different backgrounds.
It does.
They might not agree on everything,
Yeah,
but they're united by those core principles.
that's powerful.
So as we wrap up this part, I want to ask you to reflect on this. What would it look like to embrace this principles over politics approach
In your own life,
in your life and work?
what are those truths that guide your actions?
How can you create that environment that fosters unity, even when there are different viewpoints?
It's so important, especially today.
I know. We need leaders who create safe spaces for disagreement
Respectful disagreement.
without judgment or fear. Okay, so before we go to that final chapter,
Yeah.
I want to shift gears one more time.
Okay.
Let's talk about identifying the wrong who's.
Yeah, we talked about the right people. But what about the ones holding you back,
Right.
creating chaos?
It all comes back to fitness function, right?
It does. What are you optimizing for? What kind of culture are you trying to build?
If someone isn't aligned with that,
Yeah, if they're not aligned with your values,
it might be time to let go.
it can be tough, especially if you've known them a long time.
It is. But the book reminds us it's not personal. It's about what's best for everyone.
It's about the health of the whole team,
And sometimes letting go can be the kindest thing.
for them and for you.
And the book also says we often lose money on those wrong who's.
We do.
Wasted time, lower productivity, bad morale.
Sometimes keeping someone costs you more than letting them go.
That's a good point. So how do we develop that ability to see it?
To identify the right who's.
And filter out the wrong ones?
It's a process. You make mistakes, you learn. But the book has some advice, like never show up to a meeting alone.
Oh, wow. Tell me more about that.
It means delegating all the initial stuff, the contact, the scheduling. Let someone else set the stage for you.
So you can arrive focused.
Exactly.
I love that. It's like having your own air traffic controller.
Yeah, keeping things running smoothly.
And the longer you wait to delegate, the more time you waste.
Right. It's about investing in leverage.
Freeing yourself up to focus on what matters.
Your zone of genius. And this applies to your personal life, too.
Yeah.
Hire help if you can for those everyday tasks. Cleaning, errands, childcare. Frees up your mental space.
It took me a while to embrace that, but we got a mother's helper a few hours a week.
Oh, yeah.
It's made a huge difference.
It really does.
Okay, so we've talked about identifying the right people, building that self-managing company, and prioritizing principles over politics.
Yes, we've covered a lot.
I am so ready to dive into that final chapter to uncover those strategies for finding our 20% and taking action.
Let's go.
Okay, so we are back, and I am ready to jump into that final chapter of 10x is easier than 2x.
Yeah.
I'm excited to uncover, like, some actual strategies.
The tactical stuff.
Yeah, that we can use to identify our 20% and take action.
Yeah. This is where the rubber meets the road. We've talked about the mindset, those big goals, building that self-managing company.
Yeah.
Now we put it all into practice.
Love it. And the book starts this chapter with, like, a pretty powerful story
Yeah.
about Dan Sullivan's experience with hitting rock bottom.
Yeah. Back in 1978, he was 34.
Okay.
Divorce and bankruptcy on the same day.
Oh, wow. That is intense.
It was devastating.
Yeah.
But it forced him to, confront some hard truths.
About himself, about his life.
Yeah. He realized he hadn't been taking responsibility.
Oh, wow.
He'd been playing it safe, settling for what he thought he needed instead of what he really wanted.
And this led to, like, a big shift, right?
Huge. He decided to commit to wanting what he wanted,
I love that.
to build a life based on freedom and abundance. He started writing down what he desired every day.
Every day.
Yeah, training his mind to focus on possibilities, not obstacles.
And he did this for 25 years. That is incredible.
25 years. It's amazing.
It really highlights that wanting mindset,
Yes.
refusing to let fear dictate your goals.
Exactly. You don't need to justify your desires to anyone.
I love that. No explanations needed.
It's just pure design. And it goes back to that money versus wealth thing.
Right.
Money is a tool. Wealth is designing a life that aligns with your values, passions, your contribution.
Freedom to do what you love, spend time with the people you care about, make a real impact.
That's it. And the book gives some great steps for identifying your 20%.
Yeah, the actions that are moving the needle,
and committing fully to those things.
which might mean letting go of some of your 80%.
Yeah, things that might have worked before but aren't aligned anymore.
Growth often involves pruning, right?
Yeah, shedding those things that aren't serving you anymore.
Creating space for new things. They use the example of those missionaries.
Oh, yeah. They were putting in the effort, but not getting the results.
What were they doing wrong?
They realized 80% of their baptisms came from only 20% of their efforts.
So most of their time was spent on things that weren't working.
They were knocking on doors, trying to reach everyone. But the conversion rate was so low.
Activity doesn't equal results?
Nope. It's about being strategic, focusing on the high-leverage activities. For the missionaries, it was working with existing members, getting referrals, and using social media.
Working smarter and not harder.
Exactly. And that applies to everyone. Analyze your efforts, find what's really working, and double down.
Maximize those leverage points. And the book also says it's not about being perfect.
No, not about eliminating everything in your 80%.
Just being aware.
And minimizing the time you spend on those things.
Focusing on your 20%. Which brings us back to the dream check.
Yes. Envisioning your future, working backward.
Figuring out what you need to learn and achieve to hit those goals.
Setting those big goals and taking action.
So I love how the book ends. Are you ready for 10x freedom and purpose?
Such a great question. It challenges us to really ask ourselves, are we willing to embrace the discomfort?
The uncertainty, the challenges.
To pursue something truly aligned with what we want?
Are we willing to let go of those limiting beliefs?
To step outside our comfort zones?
To become the best versions of ourselves?
That's what 10x is easier than 2x is all about.
This has been an amazing deep dive.
It has.
Thank you so much for being here and sharing your insights.
My pleasure.
I encourage everyone to keep exploring these ideas. It's a lifelong journey, and the rewards are huge.
They are.
Thank you for joining us on the deep dive. We'll be back soon to explore more ideas that are shaping our world. Until then, keep learning, keep growing, and keep striving for those breakthroughs.